This is the DeLozier Show, and you're listening to Season 1 of Murder of Linda Madison, and I'm your host, Ryan DeLozier. Before we begin, a content warning. This episode discusses gun violence, domestic violence, pregnancy, and loss. If you or someone you know needs support, help is available by dialing 988 for mental health and suicide crises, and at the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. You can also text START, S-T-A-R-T, to 88788 for support. The night of February 4th, 1975, passed quietly in the house at 1205 East Mead in Yakima. Linda Madison had been staying there often, just a few doors down from her own family's home. Her friends and classmates, Jackie and Dottie, were also seniors at Davis High School, like Linda herself. They were all close. The girls were asleep when the shot was fired. There were no screams. There were no frantic calls. The house was still. It wasn't until 5:04 a.m. that the Yakima County Sheriff's Office received a phone call, a young man's voice telling them there was a dead girl at the house on Mead. That young man was Joseph Brooks, also known as Joe, or Joey to some. He didn't knock. The door wasn't locked. It didn't need to be. It was 1975, and this was a quiet neighborhood. People didn't expect someone to sneak in with a rifle, especially not someone they knew. Joe and Linda had dated. It was a passing fling. They had been in a relationship that had recently ended. Linda had tried to distance herself. There were signs of tension, maybe even fear. But that night, no one knew he had returned. When Joe had arrived at the home of Arlene Martin, he had his .22 caliber rifle with him, and on the muzzle of that rifle, a potato. He later told police he thought it would work as a silencer, something he had heard, maybe read. It was crude, but Joe believed it might help him muzzle the sound. He entered Linda's room. She was asleep. She was shot once in the right temple. Joe fled, and then, around 2 hours later, he called the sheriff's office to report the death. The sheriff deputy arrived quickly. Everyone else in the house was still asleep, unaware that their friend, their classmate, was lying dead in an adjacent room. No one had heard the shot. Not Dottie, not Jackie, not Arlene Martin, the woman whose house it was, and not others who were also staying in the house. The rifle was recovered at Joe's house, and so was a suicide note. It was at this time that Joe had told police that he had intended to kill Linda and then turn the rifle on himself. But he had changed his mind, he said. He claimed he left the rifle at her bedside and then left the room. When he returned, he claimed that Linda had shot herself. But the autopsy told a different story. There were no powder burns on Linda's skin. Forensic testing suggested the rifle had been fired from more than a foot away. Unlikely, experts testified, for a self-inflicted gunshot wound with a long-barreled rifle. Tests also showed that potato residue was found on the wall above Linda's body, but none was found in or around the wound, further suggesting that the weapon was not fired at close range. A forensic expert later testified that residue appeared in test only when the shot was fired from 6 inches or less. From 12 inches away, the potato particles. There were none. There were no powder burns and no potato particles. The implication? Linda had been shot from a distance greater than 12 inches. And that was the detail that changed everything. It shifted the narrative from a potential suicide to a clear act of violence, one that appeared calculated. Linda had confided in others about her pregnancy. She hadn't told Joe, but she told Dottie. She was still figuring out what to do. She had options. She had plans. And now, Linda was gone. Joe Brooks was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He was 19 years old. The story was now on the front page of the Yakima Herald. The town was shocked. A young girl, pregnant, dead in the night, her former boyfriend arrested, and a town left asking, how could this happen? Next time on The DeLozier Show, we'll explore what happened after Joe's arrest, how investigators built their case, and how the community reacted, and what the trial would reveal about Linda, Joe, and a relationship that turned deadly. Like, follow, subscribe to The DeLozier Show, whatever it takes, and wherever you get your podcasts. Share the story and recognize the names of those that are gone. Linda Lee Madison. The DeLozier Show is written, produced, edited. Heck, I do everything. It's by Ryan DeLozier. Special thanks to the Yakima Valley Libraries for the access to the historical Yakima Herald Republic archives. Thank you for listening. If you or someone you know is in a crisis, help is available. For mental health or suicide support, you can call or text 988 anytime. For domestic violence help, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Or you can text START to 88788. That's START, START, to 88788. You are not alone, and you are not without options.